On page 2, we are going to analyze polynomials for their behavior. So, and there's actually quite a few different functions that we're going to do this on the review for. And keep in mind that there's no way I can ask you to do all of that in the time allotted on the semester exam. So there might be problems pertaining to this. There might be a full problem on one of them, but on others I might just do like a multiple choice. What is the domain and range of this? When is this function increasing and decreasing? Whatever. So just keep that in mind, okay? The name. So first I'm going to start with the name. I have to do degree and number of terms. The pi's power is 5, so there's a quintic. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. So quintic poly with 6 terms. And so there's the name. The domain and range. Now domain is left and right. How far left and how far right does the function go? And this function, this polynomial, in fact all polynomials, you can go ahead and just say, all polynomials have a domain of all real numbers. They're going all the way to the left and all the way to the right. They extend forever. Every single x value I can think of, every single whole number and decimal and whatever I can plug into this function, right, and get a y value. Now range is a different thing. Range is up and down. In this case, or in the case of any odd polynomial, you start somewhere and you end in the opposite direction. So I am starting all the way down to negative infinity, and then I wiggle in the middle, but I go all the way up to positive infinity, so it is also our real numbers. The end behavior, well, I have the function actually right in front of me, so the end behavior should be pretty easy. It's just notation. Limit as you go to negative infinity, and the limit as you go to positive infinity. Limit as x, the limit of y. What we're saying is, where's y going as x goes to negative infinity? And as x goes to negative infinity, so we go to the left, we're going down. And as we go right, we're going up. So my end behavior is, well, that's right there. Alright, x-intercepts. Well, so far I've been able to do almost everything, well, not almost everything. So far I've been able to do these first 4 things without a calculator. I'm going to see if there's anything else I can do. A y-intercept. I know the y-intercept is when x equals 0, where you cross the y-axis, and it's actually right there. The y-intercept is whatever that constant is in the function. So I've gone as far as I can go without a calculator, so now I'm going to graph. Okay, I've got x to the 5th minus 4x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus 8x squared minus 15x and then plus 60. And I'm going to go ahead and go to window, and I'm going to match the window on the function, although I might zoom in a little bit. This goes from negative 8 to positive 8. I obviously don't need to see that far, so I'm going to go negative 4 to positive 6. And then I am going to go negative 100, and I'm going to go 120. Because I want that minimum not to be at the very bottom of the graph. And then up to 100. And press graph. Alright. The next thing I want to do is find the x-intercepts. X-intercepts are where you cross the x-axis, and I see 1, 2, 3 x-intercepts. Some of them might be whole numbers, some of them might be decimals. Remember that if it's decimal, I want 3. I want you to round to 3, okay? So, second, calculate 0. To find the x-intercept, 0 is where it crosses the x-axis, or when y equals 0. So I press enter, and it says left bound. I'm going to go ahead and start from the left and go to the right. So I want to find this furthest one on the left. I'm scrolling right now, but in a second I'm going to show you how you don't have to. So we went to the left of this point right here, is over here, press enter. Then I need to go to the right of it, which is just somewhere above it, to the right of that point right there. So right, that's to the right, press enter. I don't want to guess, so press enter. And I get that my x-intercept is negative 1.732, comma 0. Alright, I want to find the next one. Second, calculate 0. Now I could scroll to this, I need to the left and to the right, but I also know that 1 is to the left and 2 is to the right. So I'm actually just going to type in 1, enter, and it says here's my left bound, and I'm going to press 2, enter. That's my right bound, press enter, and there we go. Positive 1.732, comma 0. And then the last one, so I can calculate the 0. it looks between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's probably around 4. Probably is 4. I'm going to go and type in 3.5 and 4.5 as my left and right bound. So it's over here and up there. Press enter, and I see that it is exactly 4. The next thing I'm going to do is find extrema. So the extrema are the maxes and the mins, the extreme values. We don't have an absolute max or an absolute min here because this is an odd function. It goes all the way to infinities. But I do have a max and a min. So I'm going to go second calculate. Number 3 to do the minimum because I'm over there. So it says left bound. I need to go to the left of the minimum, which is somewhere over here. Press enter. Go to the right of the minimum. Press enter. I don't want to guess. And I can say that the min, I have a minimum of negative 88.330 at x equals 3.225. Now, if you wrote that as a coordinate point, it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and write it as this to be really clear on what is happening. But I'm not going to count off if you don't. Max of, so I'm going to find the maximum. So I can calculate number 4. Okay, I see that the max is somewhere around negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and go negative 1.2 just to be safe. And I see that I am to the left of that. And then I'm going to press 0 because that's to the right of it. And then press enter. I didn't want to scroll. So I have a maximum of 65.100 at x equals negative 0.580. The last thing I need to do is talk about increasing and decreasing. And when I look at this function, remember that anytime you are talking about increasing and decreasing, you're talking about where, location-wise, what is it doing? And we're talking about the behavior. And remember that you graph left to right. So the first thing the function is doing is when I graph it, even though the arrow is pointing down, I am increasing. When I reach the max, I stop and then I decrease. And then I'm increasing again. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to talk about what this interval is. So from here to there. And then we've got an interval of, I went too far, decreasing until the minimum. And then for these x values forevermore, I am increasing. Okay? When you're trying to find intervals of increasing and decreasing, you have to go by the x values. And I have that stated up on the board. And I have not erased it this whole year because I was hoping that if you saw it 72,000 times, you would remember it. When you talk about intervals of x, intervals of increasing and decreasing, we're talking about from negative infinity to positive infinity, what's the function doing? So for all the x values from negative infinity until the x value of this max, which is negative 0.58, so negative 0.58, I am increasing. So that will go on my intervals of increasing, negative infinity to negative 0.58. Now, I do not include negative 0.58 because actually at that moment, when we reach the maximum, you're stopped. You're not increasing or decreasing. Now, after that, from negative 0.58 until the x value of this minimum, which is 3.225, we are decreasing. Wow, I really mix that up. That's right there. Okay, to 3.225. So I am decreasing from, pick back up at that point, negative 0.58, and I'm going until 3.225. So for all these x values, I'm decreasing. It doesn't make sense to say I'm decreasing from 65.1 to negative 88.330 because I would argue that from negative 88.330 to 61, you're increasing over here and over there. So your y values are not unique, but your x values are. I'm only doing one thing on this interval of x, and that is decreasing. Okay? And then from 3.225 all the way to infinity, I am increasing again. And so we've got the intervals of increasing and decreasing. X-intercepts, min, max, decreasing here, increasing here, and there. No brackets. Number 13 is similar, but it's going to have a little bit different. There's a small difference in the fact that it's an even function, which creates more interesting. Well, yeah, it's just the range. Okay, name. The highest power I see is a 4, so it is a quartic. And there are 4 terms, so quartic poly with 4 terms. The domain, like I said, all polynomials, it goes left, it goes right, all the way, so all real numbers. Range, I'm going to have to hold off on finishing the range, because I see that range is low to high, and the lowest I go is negative 40 something, and the highest I go is up to infinity. So I know I'm going to start somewhere, and then I'm going to go up to positive infinity, and I will have to go back and fill that in once I use my calculator. In behavior, I've got the limit as I go to negative infinity, and the limit as I go to positive infinity. And looking at the function, I can tell that, I mean, it's an even function with a positive leading coefficient. I can see that right there. I can also just look at the graph. When I go left, I go up. And when I go right, I go up. And so my in behavior is just that right there. X-intercepts, I see 4. I haven't typed it in yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. And then y-intercept is just when x equals 0. And when x equals 0, that's 0, that's 0, that's 0. I'm just left with 1 right there. So if I plug in x equals 0, all of these would go away, and I would have y equals 1. So you can just look at the constant. All right, now it's time to type it in. Y equals x to the 4th plus 5x cubed minus 5x and then plus 1. So I'm going to go second, well, no, just kidding, window. Negative 6 to 3 and negative 50. I'm going to go negative 60. Ooh, that's my scale. Negative 60 to, I guess, 10. Alright. I need to find my x-intercepts. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm going to go ahead and start that. Second, calculate number 2. I don't like that. I can't see that. I'm going to make that 20. Makes it a little bit harder to see those, but that's okay. Second, calculate 0. This is between negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, and negative 4, so I'm just going to type in negative 5, press enter, and negative 4.5. That was down there. So left and right, if you just scroll, you're fine. Press enter, and I see that one of my x-intercepts is negative 4.771, comma 0. Now it says negative 1 e to the negative 12th. Okay. We're finding an x-intercept. That's when y equals 0. That's the very definition of it. Now your calculator is estimating to the best of its ability, and so it says that. But technically, please recognize they were at 0 on the y-axis, not at negative 1, whatever you would say. Negative 1 e12, e negative 12. Okay. The next one, second, calculate 0. I'll go ahead and scroll for my scrollers. Okay. So this is the point that I'm trying to find. So I'm around there. So I'm going to go left of it, press enter, go right of it, which is just above it. So I can tell that my y is positive, so I'm good. So press enter, enter, and we get negative 1.243 if you round, 2 if you don't. 0. Second, calculate the 0 again. So I need to, I'm positive right here, so I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to look down here and see when I go negative. Once I go negative, I know that I've gone past the 0, and I have, so I'm good. Press enter, enter, and there it is. 0.209, 0.210, whichever one you want to use. Doesn't matter to me. And then the last one, second, calculate 0. I am negative right here, so I'm to the left. Let's scale this up. No. So left, and then go right above it, press enter, and I find this last one at 0.805, 0.804 if you don't round. 0.805. The next thing I need is the extrema, so let me find the, I actually have a min here, the absolute min, but it's okay, you don't have to say that. Absolute min, I have a max, and then I have another min. So I'm going to go second calculate, I'm going to go ahead and find this minimum over here. So I can tell I'm going up, so I press enter, go down, make sure I'm going back up, press enter, so I need to be the left and the right of this minimum. And I find that I have a, most people do that 1/3, so I'll say min of negative 0.828 at x equals 0.540.539 if you don't round. So there's one of them. I'm going to find the max, number 4. So go to the left of the max is right here, so go to the left, press enter, go to the right, press enter, and my max. I have a max of 3.057 at x equals negative 0.633. And then I have a min, so I can calculate minimum. It's between negative 1, 2, 3, and 4, so I'm going to go negative 4.5. Ooh. So there's the left, and then to the right is just over here. Press enter, and I have a min of negative 46.398 at x equals negative 3.657. The last thing I need to do is figure out my intervals of increasing and decreasing. So I know that I am decreasing first, and then I am increasing. So starting here and ending there. And then I'm decreasing again. And then I'm increasing again. So as far as intervals of x, we go until we change. So all the maxes and mins will be the numbers that we use. So we start over here at negative infinity, and right here is when I stop decreasing, because first I start out decreasing. And then that is the x value, the minimum, negative 3.657. Negative 3.657. And then I am increasing until I reach this point, which is the max, the x value, negative 0.633. Negative 0.633. And then we are decreasing again. We are decreasing until x equals the minimum right here, 0.540. 0.540. And then we are increasing again until x approaches infinity, or until x equals infinity. So my first interval is decreasing, negative infinity to negative 3.657. My next interval is increasing from negative 3.657 to negative 0.633. My next interval is decreasing, negative 0.633 until 0.540. And my last interval is increasing from 0.540, or on the interval 0.540 until infinity. And that is, oh, just kidding. I'm glad I did that. Okay, going back, now that I know my absolute lowest point right here is negative 46.398, I know that my range is from that up to infinity, so that goes right here. Negative 46.398. And that is my range. Okay, that's page 2.